When we go through times of uncertainty, we all go through fear. Recently, when the pandemic struck the world, everyone was in fear. Why? Because we were uncertain of the times we were living in. We were not sure whether we would live or whether we would die. We were not sure whether we would be able to come out of this economic crisis. We all went through fear. Well, I want to tell you, we do not need to fear if we are connected to God. No matter what your present circumstance, maybe there's a sickness, or maybe there's a crisis with your finance, or maybe there's a land dispute. Whatever your crisis, whatever your circumstance, you do not need to be afraid. In fact, in Psalm 23, we see when David connected himself to the Lord, he said, "The Lord is my shepherd." And then in verse 4, he makes the statement, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." That means though I may walk through a crisis, though I may walk through uncertain times, though I may walk through circumstances that seem to crush me, I will not be afraid. Let not fear rule you. On the contrary, let faith arise when you are going through those crushing moments, when you are going through those moments where you feel you do not know what the future holds for you, when you feel your circumstance seems to be crushing you. Trust God. Have faith in God. What is faith? Faith is the assurance in God that you know God will work in your circumstance and situation. That's what David is saying. I will not be afraid. Why? For you are with me. Let us not be people who walk by fear. Remember, fear is the opposite of faith. Fear only tells or declares that you do not trust God, that you do not have assurance in God. Faith, on the contrary, begins to speak, no matter what I'm facing, I know who my God is. I know God will get me through this. I know my God will always stand with me. That's what David says in the very next statement in Psalm 23 verse 4. He makes this bold declaration, "For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." Come on. I want to tell you, do not be afraid. No matter what circumstances you're going through, it will change. Times will pass. When you look at the very next verse, in verse 5 of Psalm 23, he makes a declaration. Now see, the season's changing. He says, "You prepare a table before me." From the valley, now he's speaking about the table. But it's so important that when you are facing the valley, that you do not be moved with fear, that you do not let fear overwhelm you. Rather, let your faith in God arise, your trust in God arise, that you know that God will surely move in your circumstance. That assurance in God, let that arise. Because one thing for sure, your season will change. You will see that table before you. The valley is temporary. The blessings are for your good. He will pour it upon you. You will see His goodness. You will see His faithfulness. That valley moment, don't let it shake you and take you away from God. On the contrary, let faith arise. God bless you.